sixth race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. We are in the birthplace of sliding sports in San Moritz, where for over 150 years they've been sliding down the valley to Celerina below. And that's what we do again today on the longest, fastest, most glamorous and only natural track in the planet as we get into the deciding heat of our four-man competition. Alongside me, Anne van Nieuwenhuis of Belgium, and a sensation in the first heat as we look at our top three.
In third place, we have Rudy Rinaldi from Monaco. He started off with the 11th fastest start and drove the sled really well, found great speed at the bottom of the track, and got into third place. And they were really excited about it, but he's staying calm. He knows there's one more run to go. In second place, we find Johannes Lochner. Fourth fastest start time, had a clean run, a little bit of a rattle, Nash Dixon, and found great speed at the bottom. And he's only 1300ths behind first place of Francesco Friedrich. Francesco didn't have the greatest of runs either, but he found amazing speed, had the fastest start of 4:95 start record, finished in 1:5:46, a track record, and he just left everyone behind.
Well, he was in dominant form in the two-man race yesterday. The last time he was beaten in a race was here in the two-man a year ago, but it had been 6 years since Friedrich had won in two-man in San Moritz. The first and only time he claimed a gold medal was in the 2013 Worlds, the longest winless drought he's had in either discipline on any track. And right now, he is having the season of seasons. Unbeaten in two-man, he's already had 3 wins out of 5 starts in the four-man competition as well. And he really is in a class of his own. Matthias Luthi, really tough early start draw, just 500ths out of the top 20. He's the one sled who doesn't go in our second heat. Well, the wind is picking up. There were tiny little flakes of snow in the air just a few moments ago as well. Air temperature -2. During the day earlier in the week, it was -10, -12, and the ice was down in the middle teens, negative degrees. Francesco Friedrich, as ever, the center of attention. And I said a couple of weeks ago, he's fast becoming, or has become, the Michael Schumacher of ice sliding, and I think that's not overstating it at all. He's got an amazing ability to handle a sled that probably very few could really get the speed out of.
He really finds the balance between letting it run and controlling it at the right times.
Well, there is Oskars Melbardis, winner here 2 years at Oskars Kiebermanis, winner here 2 years ago. Nico Walter, who won in the two-man last year. There are only 3 previous medalists in a four-man race in the field here. Last year's winner, Hansi Lochner. 2 years ago, the winner, Oskars Melbardis, and Francesco Friedrich, who took a bronze 2 years ago, a silver 1 year ago, and leads after the first of our 2 heats. You can see just the odd flake of snow coming down around the Gunter Sachs Lodge at the Dracula start area. We'll wait to see exactly how the weather changes during the run and how that affects this track. First of 20 sleds, race 6 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup is America's Justin Olsen. Crew got a 5:15 getaway, 18th fastest in the field. They'll be looking to try and go quicker than that and get a clean exit from the first corner. And van Nieuwenhuis again, a little skiddy out of turn 1.
It looked like he had it in hand, but then opened up and the pressure just break into his skids.
Well, Justin had a very skiddy top part of the track and then exaggerated that by having more mistakes lower down, already looking tidier.
Very tidy top part of the track so far, and better coming out of Sunny. Takes the hit again coming into Dixon, but avoids the wall there. Nice high line and horseshoe, and a great entrance in telephone.
Starting to accelerate fast now, 107 kilometers an hour. That is 66.5 miles an hour.
Little tap before going into Nameless, but back in control in the 4 right.
Already topping 75 miles an hour and still accelerating hard out into the open. The final 2 corners touching 80 miles an hour and more at the line. Justin Olsen, 106.67, 88.5 miles an hour, 142.5 kilometers is. Now that run, a little slower than his first, and I think the next couple of sleds will tell us whether the track is starting to slow down a little. Normally at this time of day, Anne, there's a lot of sun, and that allows the track surface to be melted easier by the runners. It might be a bit frosty still.
Yeah, maybe the snowflakes are falling into the track as well. And it looks like he's in control, and then he just avoids the left wall, but oh, there's a lot of movement from the brakeman.
A lot of movement behind, and that wriggles the sled around, and the driver then has to fight it.
Just a little touch before going into dike.
Sweeping down through the forest. Justin Olsen in the leader's box for the moment. He'll be looking forward to getting back to Lake Placid in 2 weeks for our next World Cup race. Roman Heinrich of France, 15th out of the start shed, around the position that Olsen was, just as the track was starting to warm up. Had a great result in all of the two-man races so far this year. Let's see if he can improve on 19th spot. He was only 400s in front of Olsen from the first heat.
And a good control around the first kink. Nice down the middle.
New French-built sled by Bontaz, who's been a long-time partner of the French bobsledding team. This is only its second outing in a race. 700s ahead of Olsen. He had 400s from the first heat. It is looking like a tidier run.
Tidy run, but also takes a hit coming into Dixon.
As the day wears on, the track should get faster.
Very high in horseshoe.
2500s up, good height. Not quite as quick as Olsen. And again, about 1 kilometre now down on speed to the American sled, but he gets out of the forest in front.
Bit of a high line there.
This is a much nicer run. 3500s in front, clean through the final two corners, and a 4/10 margin very nearly at the bottom.
He definitely cleaned it up this run. Much better run than his first one.
106.32 would have left him in 16th place rather than 19th place in the first heat. And again, we'll have to wait and see. It's been a long time since we've had any snow at all in a race here in St. Moritz.
A little flop off there in snake 1, going into snake 2. And then the hit we've seen so many sleds do before Dixon. See the brakeman jumping up. And then just touches the wall before going into Devil's Dyke as well. High up there in Gunter Sachs, hitting the wall, but it's going straight, so no sideways skidding. Doesn't affect the speed that much.
Roman Heinrich leads from France, 2 down, 18 to go in St. Moritz.
Oh, it is snowing now.
It is snowing now for Billy Meyerhans. Well, it is a snow globe, picture-perfect location. What we don't want is the snow, though. This is going to make it very tough towards the end of the run. Another hour of this could substantially affect the track. So a chance to strike for Billy Meyerhans. His 10th World Cup start in a 4-man sled. He was the last out of the start shed and used the quick track to get into the second heat.
5:23. And just perfect lines in the first two kinks of the track. Same flop out of snake 1. Oh, and a little bit of a skid coming out of Sunny as well.
Well, even the Swiss haven't driven the track this year. It was opened late, then it snowed all through Christmas, New Year. There were no Swiss championships. So this weekend, the first racing of any kind on the St. Moritz track. It's their home track. The Swiss have no advantage here whatsoever.
Good speed coming out of bridge.
Yeah, very good speed. Quicker than Olsen, quicker than Heinrich.
But a little bit too loose there.
Can he close? He was only 1100s back. This is going to be very close at the line between Roman Heinrich and Billy Meyerhans. 100th behind. Wow, that's very close. So the French move up a spot. Billy Meyerhans will be no worse than 19th.
He was catching up on speed, but just let it a little bit too loose in Leap and Gunter Sachs, and that's where he had a little bit of sideways skidding.
Well, Billy, one of the big characters in the sport, really enjoys his bobsledding. You got local member of parliament Marcel Dobler sitting at 3 in the sled. Late entry into the team.
Nice high line. And here you can see he's just letting it a little bit too loose and has some skidding there between Leap and Gunter Sachs.
Yeah, same mistake in the first heat. Big smile from Billy Meyerhans, though. 100th behind. 3 down, 17 to go. Final European race of the four-man bobsleigh campaign before we head to North America and into the World Championships. Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands, 13th fastest start. It got away from him, though, early on. He only ended up in 17th spot.
So he'll be looking to clean up his run in the second run. 5:11. The guys will be very pleased with that start. Good control around the first skink, just drifting a little bit to the right, but doesn't hit a wall.
He just looked like he was tight and over-anticipating everything in the first heat. Conditions were different from how it was in training.
And this is much better coming out of wall.
Much nicer. Your, inverted commas, teammates, as the Dutch and the Belgians are training a lot together, sharing the same coach, Tom Delahunty.
Exactly. And helping each other out. This is a very, very good run so far.
Well, there you go. This is what he needed in the first heat. Nice exit off Horseshoe. Look at the gap.
Wow.
4/10 up.
Great speed. 109.
And he was only 800ths ahead of the French. He's 5/10 up. This is a really good run.
This is the fastest sled we've seen so far.
Well, Ivo has got his head around it in the second heat. Really nice speed. 120 Ks, and at the bottom, 145. Very close at the line. How far in front?
Wow.
105.71. There we go.
That
well
would have
done,
left
boys.
him in 4th place.
Yeah. Which, where he came out of the start shed, he couldn't have done 7th off early on, but if he'd been in the teens, he might well have had a shot at that.
But this was just a way better run than his first one.
Yeah, the first one was just ugly. This was 7/10ths of a second better.
Just an amazing run.
Yeah.
Good job, Ivo.
Well, now, it's in there. We know that, and he knows that. Getting it out on race day is the big hurdle for Ivo, and this was a great run.
Great exit out of Sunny. So much better compared to his first run. Not the highest line, but good control in the Horseshoe. Bringing it out and just perfect entrance into telephone. Not too early on.
Hey Mette, hey Dag, haal voor jullie. Hoi hoi, dankjewel dames. Thanks boys. Thanks voor het kijken allemaal.
Next up, Brad Hall of Great Britain, lying in 16th place after the first heat. 700ths ahead of Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands. And as the snow comes down, they know that this is an opportunity, if you put in a good run now, to move up if the snow gets heavier. Even if it doesn't, it'll lay in the track and may slow things down a fraction. Better load than their first run. 5:06 is a quicker start as well. The boys will be happy with that. Good momentum.
Good control. Just drifting a little bit to the right, but he's trying to keep it middle. Going into wall with 1/10 in the green.
He was rocky in Snake 1 to 2 and in Nash to Dixon. Better from Snake 1 to 2. Out of Sunny. Will set him up for Nash and Dixon.
Nice exit out of Sunny.
Ooh.
Just a little tap going there.
Avoids the wall. Here we go into Horseshoe. Nice height.
Just a little too early onto telephone.
300ths behind. This is very close with the Dutch sled. They started 1200ths in front. Needs a really good bottom part of the track now. 120 was the speed for de Bruin.
It's a good-looking run, but yeah, that skid is not going to help him.
No, losing time. Ivo de Bruin will stay in the leader's box. Brad Hall in second place, 105.94. Well, again, that's 4/10ths better than his first heat. But when Ivo improved by 7/10ths, then that makes a big difference. So Brad Hall and the crew in second spot at the moment. 1600ths first to second. Third place, 6900ths back.
And Ivo's helping out with their sled.
Yeah. Well, the Dutch and the British share a lot in common. They've trained together for many years. And with an English coach for the Dutch team, those relationships remain.
A little high on the end of Gunter Sachs, and that's why he hits the wall on the right side.
One thing that happens when you get a tiny bit of snow on the track, Anne, is that it acts as a lubricant. A tiny amount, it melts quicker than the ice, and it helps lubricate the runners. So will the track actually speed up initially? Let's see, with Mikkel Vogt to Switzerland, first out of the start shed. A nice smooth drive left him in 15th place on the frosty ice, 5:09. That's a good start from the crew.
Big improvement on the 5:13 start in the first run.
Well, Vogt drove beautifully to finish in 4th place in the two-man race yesterday. Let's see what he can do in the four-man.
And a great upper part of the track so far. Flops out of snake 1 like so many sleds have done before.
First year in the World Cup, only his second year driving a sled of any kind.
Just 2 little taps before Nash and before Dixon.
1200th up, heavy landing though. Rattles it all over
skid going into Devil's Dyke as well.
Telephone Shamrock, Devil's Dyke, very injurious to the speed. Only 118.9 to 124 of Ivo de Bruin.
Going late into leap and then late again.
He'll be in the red. Needs all the speed the sled can muster. Oh, holds it late off, and at the line he is behind. 105.94, 400s ahead of the Brits. Same run as Brad Hall, stays in front of the Great Britain sled by the 400s. He was quicker in the first heat. Well, whatever else happens, Michael Vogt is a big hope for the future of Swiss bobsledding. 4th place in yesterday's 2-man race shows us that. And his 4-man driving can only get better and better. That was a heavy landing off Horseshoe into Telephone.
It takes a lot of the speed out of the sled.
That's basically a head-on crash.
Yeah, hits again coming out of Telephone because it's so hard to control. If you get pushed away, you get the height late in Telephone, you just fall off again. And it's just one curve after the other and you can't catch up.
15 to go here in snowy St. Moritz, the final European 4-man bobsleigh race of the season. Markus Treichel of Austria, 12th fastest push from the crew. Little loose run, ended up in 14th place. Let's see if the Austrians can improve on what is now a quicker track. 5.09, fraction faster than their first start.
And the best velocity so far.
Nice and smooth out of kink 1 and kink 2 down to wall. 3 pressures in wall, 1, 2 and 1 right at the end, unusually this year.
It's a tricky one, and it's so important to get set up nicely for snake 1 and 2. He's done that brilliantly in this run.
Nicely out of Sonny, squeezes through Nash and Dixon with no dramas. Little tap, but doesn't put him offline into Horseshoe. 200s. Tiny margin ahead of Ivo de Bruin.
Doesn't have the same speed as Ivo though.
He was only 700s up from the first heat.
And he's 1 kilometer down on speed.
He is dropping back. More snow falling in the track with every minute. You can see the runners are leaving clear lines now. You can't see the original runner marks. Treichel is going to be second at the line, just ahead of Michael Vogt. Pulled it back in the final couple of corners in the graveyard of time.
And this is the 3rd sled in a row that goes 105.94.
Yeah, to the 100th of a second, over a mile of ice. They are inseparable in the last 3 runs down. That's astonishing.
Snake 1 into snake 2, a lot of sleds flopping out there. And then just hitting the left wall before going into Horseshoe. Tiny skid. And some sideways sliding, nameless to 3. These are tiny mistakes you don't really see, but it costs you some time. It's just 1 or 2 hundredths.
And they all add up. Or maybe all this little light dusting of snow is making the track skiddier for the runners. Patrick Baumgartner writtenly up now, 13th place in the first heat. And Baumgartner, a relative newcomer to the sport.
That was a rough transition in the first kink, but he straightened it out.
Europa Cup champion, that's the junior level of sliding here in Europe, and he's got the best speed out of the first corner.
Good control in the upper part of the track. Little late going into snake 1.
Youth Olympic gold medalist in 2012. Youth Olympics are here next year. They'll be sliding boys and girls bobsled, monobobs down this track. Skeleton and luge will also race here. And speed skating on the frozen lake.
High line, but taps out of Telephone. And not great speed, 107.
Yeah, not as good as Ivo de Bruin. And as everybody else keeps doing 105.94s, Ivo is rising up the order with his 105.71 second heat. Again, Baumgartner goes behind. I think Ivo might not only have had a great drive, but also a little window in the weather. Huge moment there for Patrick Baumgartner. Had to really haul it off.
There was
106.14.
a big second pressure in Martineau.
Wow.
Just barely hold it off.
2100's back and drops to 5th, so Brad Hall moves up 1 spot, so does Michael Vogt and Marcus Treichel. And Ivo de Bruin continues his climb up the leaderboard.
A little bit late height in horseshoe, and he really had to steer it hard off. You could see the runners turning hard, and then very long on Martineau.
The brakeman thought they were going over there. See a hood at the back flapping around. That all slows you down. Extra drag you don't need. I think that was the last of their worries at that moment. Yoon-Jin Suk of Korea next up. 10th World Cup for him. Only the 2nd in the front seat as a driver, though. Has never driven St. Moritz before. Finished in 20th place in the 2-man field.
And he really took advantage of his late start draw in the first run.
Yeah, squeezed himself nicely into a top 12 run. Big skid though at the start, 5:15, but the momentum will be not too bad, 3rd fastest.
Was very unstable coming out of the first kink.
2700s ahead of Ivo de Bruin from the first heat.
And only 1/10.
Yeah, and this is a little rocky as well. He might be behind by horseshoe. Yeah, got a lot of Dixon, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ooh, and a double tap down the straight. Good height in horseshoe. Nice exit, but he is behind. Now, does he get the speed? 108.5, kilometre down to de Bruin. Needs 120s.
Middle line in Nameless.
Yeah, just a little rocky.
Just avoids the inside wall coming at a bridge there.
His lack of experience on the track is really showing. He's still finding his way in this 4-man. 142's good speed, but it's not enough. He's going to drop like a stone down the order to 6th position.
They're enjoying the winner box action.
Yes, they are.
Action.
Duckface Dumar, Dennis Fenker, Janko Francic and Ivo de Bruin are your race leaders as Yoon-Jin Suk and his team slip down the order. Well, they'll be no worse than 17th.
Yeah, a hit and a skid into Dixon. It just kills the speed. And I know that from my second run yesterday.
There you go. Not a bad exit, though. Nicely onto telephone. Just couldn't find that gap he needed. Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic is our next man on the ice. And Dvorak, after a really good run yesterday, put together a nice first heat.
5:02 start in the first run.
Came early out of the start shed, didn't he? Just 4th sled on the ice. And this is the venue he made his first ever driving start in a 4-man after a career as a brakeman. That was back in 2016.
5:01 and just avoids the left wall coming out of the first kink. Puts it nicely in the middle.
2 races here, 23rd and last year 27th. And he was on the fringes of the top 10 in the first heat. And that tells you everything you need to know about the season he's having this year.
And a very good looking run so far. Little aggressively out of Sunny. And then hits the take-on of Dixon as well. Avoids the wall going into horseshoe, though.
All right, half a second up on Ivo de Bruin. Good-looking run. This is going to put the Dutch out the leader's box unless he has a catastrophe here in the forest. So little snow making its way through the trees. You don't notice it snowing again until you get out of Sachs and into the open meadow below. Under the railway line and down through Martineau and Portago. Big double rattle. That's going to take a lot out of it, but it's still a 4,500s advantage. Well, the finish time, 105.58. And the Dutch going, well, how did he do that? Well, sometimes loosey-goosey carries the speed. Dvorak burying his head, but in the end, actually, it was a half-decent run. The top half was good, got away at the bottom. Again, we haven't had snow all week, so maybe it is just having an effect on how you steer, yeah. Well, think about a road. It's exactly the same.
And hits the take-on of Dixon. Gets pushed away, and then here you can see him avoid the left wall, the right wall coming at a bridge.
Well, Dominik Dvorak, the new race leader, with 10 down and 10 to go here in St. Moritz. Light snow falling. Is that going to affect our final 10 sliders of the European campaign here in the home of ice sliding? Well, at Nieuwenhuis, we've had bright blue skies and arctically cold temperatures all week, and now race weekend is starting to warm up a little, so the ice feels different with this little dusting of snow on it. Again, if you think about driving on the road, when you get a tiny bit of snow, then you start to feel it's the car tires sliding already because there's less grip on the road, and that'll be the same for the runners.
It's definitely a different feeling. When we were training, the foremans easily got to speeds of 146, 147. Now they're only doing speeds of 143, 144 maybe, the fastest sled. So it's a very different feeling, being a bit warmer, snowy.
And having to steer a little bit more to get the lines that you need, maybe that's taking speed out. There's the famous horseshoe bar to eat and drink, watching at the horseshoe corner. And the Gunter Sachs Lodge above the start area here. Brand new shop down there in underneath the arches. And all the changing rooms further over to the right-hand side below the fans. Well, it's a good place to come and watch bobsled wherever you happen to be. If you ever get the chance to come to St. Moritz, I can't encourage you strongly enough to come and try and take a taxi bob ride, particularly if it's here in the summer, because it doesn't exist here in the winter, if it doesn't exist in the summer. But it is one of the great experiences that you can enjoy in your life. And the speeds at the bottom, even in a taxi bob there, up close to 140 kilometers an hour. You start off at walking pace instead of sprinting and getting into the sled, but boy, you pick up speed nicely. So 10 sleds down, 10 to go. Will we see Dominik Dvorak now start to claw his way up the leaderboard like Ivo de Bruin has? Or will those in front, who had really good runs in the first heat, be able to hang on to their positions? Lots to think about here in St. Moritz. 10 down, 10 to go. Final race of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh campaign in Europe. Race 6 of 8 in the World Cup. And with a storming drive, tying for 9th place in the first heat, Ivan Linuchev. He is only in his second World Cup four-man, but Ivan Nieuwenhuis came out very late in the run when the track was at its fastest. The brakeman slips and barely gets in. He's had to pull the sled back to get himself in, and that will take momentum out. Well, that was close.
5:17. It's only a bit slower.
But what momentum has it cost them? That was Nikolai Kozlov, the man at 4, slipped on the ice. And again, the snow probably having an effect there.
He just ran it really, really long.
Well, he's gone from 700s behind as they sat down to half a second back already on Dominik Dvorak.
And skidding, going into horseshoe. And now he gets it back under control.
Yeah, it's not a bad looking drive, but having a 100-kilo man, 225-pound man, pulling the sled backwards right at the start when it's at its slowest has definitely hurt them.
Great speed at the bottom, though, again.
Yeah, he had a flying run, still half a second adrift, though. Dvorak is moving up. He gives it everything at the bottom. 106.11. Well, mistakes happen, and unfortunately for them, that has cost them a potential top 10 finish. They're in second place. Dominik Dvorak leads with 9 to go.
Well, no worse than 11, so that's a great result for him.
No question at all. One World Cup result. Look at Brakeman. Now the final power strike to try and get in. His foot slipped off the cowl, and then he had to run to try and catch the sled up.
And he's still not in when they're going around the first kink.
Wow, huge drama for Ivan Linuchev and the team. Well caught by the guys in the truck. Fantastic. Yun Jung-won, a career now, our Olympic silver medalist in four-man bobsleigh, in 9th place, tied with the man in only his second World Cup start, and one with a lot more experience under his belt. Making his 36th four-man World Cup start this weekend. Drops in and the Korean crew load nicely, but right out by the wall.
506, and he actually hit the right wall going into the first kink. Good control though. Second kink, nicely in the middle.
Good two-man result yesterday in 5th position. The Hyundai sled was absolutely flying at the bottom of the track. See what the 4-man can do. Can he move up? He's 400s back on Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic.
Good exit there and avoids the wall going into Dixon. Nice in middle, go through horseshoe. Oh, late going into Shamrock. Great
Good speed. Quicker than Ivo de Bruin, who was fastest in the forest. Late flop, same speed as the Dutch sled. 400s in front of Dvorak. Top speed at the bottom, 145.1 from the Russians. How close will this be? He was 400s up, double tap. This could be very close. 700s in front, that is very close. So smile from Rico Peter there on the right, their driving coach. And he hangs on to no worse than 9th by 700s over Dominik Dvorak. That run was a couple of hundreds slower than the Czechs, but he had a 900 first heat advantage.
Oh, a lot of steering coming up.
And he
Just
still didn't get it right.
There.
Yeah.
And taps between Devil's Geik and Nameless.
So Yoon Jong-won in the lead with 8 to go. Lots of noise from the Latvian fans for the winner here 2 years ago, Oskars Kībermanis. Expected him to be right in the hunt for the medals. Didn't have the greatest run. 8th position start draw, perhaps not as favourable as some. But he has got speed and consistency on his side, so he should at least be able to match what everybody else has done.
Oh,
493, epic new start record, but what about the momentum, the velocity, 57.1, only 2nd fastest. Dominik Dvorak's crew were faster.
A 4/10 lead going into wall. Yeah, clapping off Snake, like so many sleds have done before.
Well, there are 2 or 3 sleds in front of him who you would say are, quote, out of position with regard to the 4-man results so far this season. This is a chance for Kībermanis to get back in the medals.
Great lines from Telephone to Shamrock. Not the highest speed, though. I don't know if he made the wrong runner choice.
Well, he's been silver medalist the last 3 World Cup races after double 4th places in Winterberg. Won here 2 years ago, his only medal on the St. Moritz track. Can he do it again? Well, that's a huge run, 105.19. And that means faster than anybody produced in the first heat in the snow.
That's what we expected from Kībermanis in the first run as well. He just produced a great run in the second one.
Well, if he'd been down 11th, 12th, 13th in the start draw instead of 8th, he might have found another spot or 2 in the first heat as well. That's a huge drive from Oskars Kībermanis. And look at the start. New start record, 493 is the target now for Friedrich's crew.
Nice height there.
And late height as well, really holds it up and then
gently steers it out.
Beautifully, nudges it down and then holds the line perfectly. Okay, now the pressure is on. Top 6 position for Cody Basque of the USA with Josh Williamson, Jimmy Reed and Hakeem Abdul-Sabur. They started 5 dead and a really nice drive from Basque to put them top 6. He needs 1 more of those. He's been doing it in training all week in the 4-man. Let's see 2 clean runs from Basque. Little squirrely.
Oh, and once you hit that wall, it's like a magnet pulling you to it.
And the momentum isn't great. 56.7, so he's behind the Latvians. Now almost 2/10 back. He was only 200s in front of Kībermanis.
Middle line coming out of wall. It's very different than what we've seen most of the guys do.
Cody was in a tie with the next sled, Dmitry Popov, only 300s behind Nico Walter in 5th position, only 400s out of 4th.
Going into horseshoe.
He could still move up the order, even if he is in second place behind Kibermanis. He's a long way back, though, 3200s.
A little unstable going into Devil's Dyke as well.
4200s up. The speed is not there in this run.
There and just avoids the wall.
He's trying to get the feel back for the sled.
And skid.
The snow's not helping. Rocky out of the final corner. Is he going to be second at the line? He's fourth. It's really come undone for Cody Basque. That's such a disappointment for the American. He had such a great first heat. Came out quite late in the draw, 19th. The track was at its best. He utilized everything in his armory. And this time the boys gave him another great 5 dead start, but it drifted away.
Big hit going into Dixon. And then he wants to avoid the wall and just steers himself into a skid.
See the bodies moving around in the back. That's the energy that's going out of the sled.
And another skid going from Shamrock to Devil's Dyke.
The snow just undoing Cody Basque. 6 sleds to go. Oskars Kibermanis leads. What about Dmitry Popov, the young Russian, in only his 4th World Cup start? And again, Popov with a decent start draw, 16th out of the blocks. The track was absolutely flying. In fact, it's only his 3rd World Cup start in the 4-man. Oh, and a really rocky load. Overran that.
5:04 though.
Yeah, 3rd fastest momentum somehow as well. Clearly see the head of Andrei Livlov at 2. That's why he's got the wind deflector on the helmet. I wonder if that's intentional to drive the air over the top of the other crew members. So Popov, 2 tenths in the hole behind Kibermanis. Is he going to find this?
Good transition next to Dixon.
It won't be on experience that he'll outdrive Kibermanis. Holding on.
Middle. Ooh, and claps out a nameless.
Little late, 2800s. He hasn't quite stopped the bleeding.
Little skid going into Günter Sachs as well.
Gets a good exit. Not enough ice left for him to catch, though. He will be in second place ahead of Yoon Jung-won of Korea. 4 tenths back. Huge gap behind Kibermanis. 4 tenths. That was an epic run by Oskars Kibermanis. If he doesn't get a medal with that, somebody else has really stepped up. Well, we expected Popov perhaps to lose a couple of spots. He's lost 1. He will be no worse than 7th in his 3rd ever World Cup race, his first drive in St. Moritz. What about the brakeman? Where does it... Oh! Now, that was a slip before he got into the sled. Only just got on board the moving train. Roman Koshelev at the back. In fact, Koshelev had a problem in the first heat getting in as well. However, that's a big result for the young Russian. Dmitry Popov in second. Oskars Kibermanis leads. 5 to go. First of our 3 German sleds in the top 5, just like the women's race. This is Nico Walter this weekend pushing a sled for the first time in 3 weeks after a hamstring tear in Altenburg. They started 5:04, 5:02 in the first heat. He is actually starting to push as well, rather than just run alongside the sled to get the weight out of it.
Definitely.
In training, he was sitting in, though.
Unstable in that straightaway.
But good velocity. Now, can he stay in front of Oskars Kibermanis?
Going late into Snake and then really a big flop off Snake 1 into Snake 2.
This was a massively tight group of sleds. 8 sleds covered by 500ths of a second. And Walter, 1200ths back on Kibermanis, needs a track record pretty much to stay in the top 5.
Going late into Shamrock and then just avoids the wall going into Devil's Dyke.
Speed's not there yet. 120.5, fastest sled of all now. Here we go.
He's
this is
catching up now.
It's what he did in the first heat, isn't it? Really motored on the fast parts of the track in the FES 4-man.
145.
Stunning speed from Nico Walter. Will he catch him at the line? No! Didn't make up ground. He actually lost ground in the bottom of the track to Oskars Kibermanis, despite top speed going down into Martineau and Portago. 1:45.2. Linyuchev, the second fastest sled for the Russians. 5:02 start. That's good stuff from the boys. Paul Krentz, Alex Rödinger, and Eric Franke.
Big flop there. And you can see the back end just sliding into snake 2.
Look at Franke at the back there, buried with his head on the floor. Just want to say, by the way, goodbye and thank you to Marco Hubenbecker, who had his last race yesterday with Nico, who'll be one of the big characters in the German team. So we're going to miss him. 4 to go. Who is going to win this race in St. Moritz? Final European four-man race of the season. Oskars Kiebermanis leads, but Maxim Andrinov, 0.06 of a second out of the medals in the first heat after a storming drive. Only 10th off Anton Jünhaus. He didn't have the best track conditions, but he made the best of them.
He had a great run in the first one.
5 dead, 600s quicker than the first heat. That's what the brakemen know. Even 100th could make a difference.
Definitely. And he came a little bit unstable out of the first heat, but corrected it really well, avoided the left wall, and then put it in the middle. Late going into snake 1.
Not out of the top 6 this year in 5 four-man races, but not in the top 3.
Oh, and takes the entrance of Dixon as well. Oh, and skids there before going into horseshoe.
This is critical, not a bad exit into telephone. 1:08.4.
Unstable going into Devil's Dyke 2.
He needs Nico Walter speed down the bottom here. He's not as far behind, only 800s back. 1:20.1 is good speed. This is going to be very close with Oskars Kiebermanis, and there are still 3 sleds to go.
Oh, and a skid going into Martineau as well.
800s back. What's he got at the bottom? The Russian sleds were flying at the line. No. 1:05.45. He's in front of Nico Walter by 300s. That is another top 6 guaranteed, but maybe not enough for the medals.
And Kiebermanis had a really great bottom part of the track. He's leaving them all behind just in the last 2 curves.
Yeah. Kiebermanis was clearly watching Friedrich.
Big flop and some sideways action of the back of the sled.
Watch all the bodies move as you hit the wall.
And so much ice, clips of the wall, hitting and then skidding again.
All right. Oskars Kiebermanis leads with 3 to go. And we may be on the brink of a huge story. It's already a huge story for the Monaco bobsled team. Last year celebrating their 30th anniversary here. This year, Rudy Rinaldi in 3rd place after the first heat.
5:09 start in the first run. 11th fastest start. Drove it really well.
He drove superbly. Do not overrun it. Get in neatly. 5:09, 5:07. Again, every 100th counts here. Rudy Rinaldi,
Velocity.
huge velocity, but he's looking for his first medal.
Oh, that was a little bit of a slip into wall.
He's had good four-man results here. 13th 2 years ago, 8th last year. And this season in the World Cup, he's been 8th, 9th and 11th in the 3 races he started. Coming undone, 1400s behind Kiebermanis.
Too early into telephone.
Kiebermanis the winner here 2 years ago. Rudy Rinaldi slipping 4 spots at the moment.
But good speed now.
Monaco's last medal. Patrice Savelle took silver in Calgary in 2010. Good speed at the bottom into the top 3. How close will he be at the line? In 2nd place. That is top 5 guaranteed for Monaco. In fact, that is 4th place guaranteed for Monaco. You just saw the bearded figure of Patrice Savelle. And it's a decade pretty much since Monaco had a driver who could get them within sniffing distance of the medals. Okay, so Rudy, you've slipped 1, but to the winner 2 years ago.
Big hit going into Dixon.
8th in the season opener in Winterberg. His previous best four-man result was 13th. His now best four-man result will be 4th at least. Oscar's Kiebermanis is in the medals. Rudy Rinaldi in second, Maxim Anjanov in third. 2 to go. Is this a battle for gold between last year's winner and yesterday's winner? Hansi Lochner with Florian Bauer. Gregor Birnbach making his last ever start in a bobsled, and Christian Rasp on the back.
Very interesting positioning of the feet of the brakeman. Not next to each other on the block, but one foot is behind the other one. I've not seen a lot of brakemen do it like that.
4.96 start. Again, they are trying to give Lochner everything. He's last year's winner in the four-man here. 1900s up on Kiebermanis.
Great control in the upper part. Early entrance into Sunny, and a great exit there.
In his four-man World Cup career, Hannes Lochner has once finished out of the top 6. A big mistake coming down into Horseshoe, still gets the height. Has he got the speed? Rock and roll from Telephone to Shamrock. 1:08.2, a kilometre now down on the fastest. Is he going to stay in front of Kiebermanis? The gap has halved. 1:19.4, close. Now he needs speed at the bottom from the Valner sled.
And he's just late in those parts.
Holding it together. It's going to be tight at the line for the lead. This will be silver or maybe bronze. 200s in front. Wow. So the winners in four-man bobsled in St. Moritz for the last 2 years are first and second. Saw the Latvian brakemen holding their thumbs up as Hansi came into the station. Ah! Now, is that frustration with the mistakes? I think so. And here,
Hits and a big skid going into Horseshoe.
trying hard not to steer it. Gets the height though, Anne.
Nice high line. But he's high late and has to work hard. And that's why his telephone wasn't as great as it was in the first run. Late height, dropping off, hitting the wall before going into Shamrock.
Well, it does mean that Gregor Birnbach will have a medal on his very last race. Will it be silver? Could it be gold? Francesco Friedrich, Candy Bauer, Martin Grotkopp and Alexander Schuller will tell us in the next minute and 30 seconds. Oh, unbelievable. Again, they raised the bar, just as he did in the two-man race with Alex Schuller.
Equaling the start record that the Latvians just put down.
So Friedrich, 2200s in front of last year's winner, Hansi Lochner. Francesco Friedrich, 2 years ago, bronze, last year, silver here.
A little late going into the snakes, but corrected it well. Oh, and also hits the take-on of Dixon.
Oh, it's like the first heat. Actually, it's like the second heat in the two-man. He hit everything in sight and still had the speed. Look at it.
Just pulling away.
He drives a sled that nobody else does. 120.9, top speed of all. Friedrich is hitting everything in sight and still accelerating faster than anybody else on the planet. Double wave in Martineau, clip into Portago, and victory! A double win.
Half a second.
3800s quicker than Hansi Lochner on that run alone. A 5100ths of a second margin of victory. Francesco Friedrich claims his first four-man win in St. Moritz. Yesterday, he took his first two-man win in 6 seasons here. And Alexander Schuller there was on the back of the set. There's Gregor Birnbach, silver medal with Hansi Lochner, offers his congratulations. And again, like Hubi, a big character, Gregor. We're going to miss him hanging around and the big smile. And Friedrich, unbelievable. 4th win of the season in the four-man sled. He's now got 6 straight this year alone in the two-man. His 50th four-man World Cup race. Friedrich, 28 years old. It's his 83rd four-man race of his career. Unbelievable, this man's ability.
Very efficient load, 493, fastest start of the day. Wasn't a perfect run, but I don't think we have seen one set who put down a perfect run. The track is really tricky this year, but he just flew away. Half a second clear of the rest of the field.
9th four-man race in St. Moritz for Francesco Friedrich in World Cup and World Championships, and it's his first win. It is his 12th four-man win of his World Cup career. Hansi Lochner takes second, Oskars Kiebermanis third. Last year's silver medalist beats the last two winners on this track. And some great stories further back. Real redemption from Ivo de Bruin, Linuchev. And what about Monaco? Rudy Rinaldi in 4th position. A day of days for him. In the end, Anne van Nieuwenhuis, the snow didn't really hurt. They had the Bavarian flag, by the way. The man in the orange jacket, that's Hansi's dad. And his brother, Rudy Lochner, a multiple world champion medalist for Germany in his career. Entertaining stuff. I mean, for Rudy Rinaldi, 4th place, you know, he was very close to medals, but Kiebermanis just had too much for almost everybody.
He had a great second run. And Rudy looked a little bit disappointed with that 4th place, but he should be very pleased with what he did today.
Polo down on the ice, the final day of the competitions this weekend. And there'll be horse racing down there as well in the next few weeks. They had the Swiss Open Speed Skating Championships last week, so there's a short oval and a long oval down there, and that is setting the template for next year's Youth Olympic Games, when all the speed skating events will be here in St. Moritz outdoors.
Beautiful scenery for these young athletes.
Absolutely, and not just a beautiful scenery, but, you know, not in some confined dome, but out in the fresh air, and hopefully bright sunshine for them. The bobsleigh, the skeleton, the luge will all be on the Olympia Bob Run here. Now, that's a break with tradition, because in 28 and 48, when the games were here, skeleton was the Cresta run. That, until 2002, was Olympic skeleton sliding. And then they came onto bobsleigh tracks as well. So there's all that to look forward to next year, 2020 Youth Olympic Games here in St. Moritz in February. Well, before then, we head off to North America, Lake Placid and Calgary, the final 2 World Cup races, and some makeup, I think, in Calgary for the missing skeleton races. And then we head to Whistler for the World Champs. Gee, that's going to be tough. 2 weeks in sunny Whistler. You know, everybody has their cross to bears, and that's one of ours. Race 6, the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. 4th win of the season for Francesco Friedrich. He is still our World Cup points leader from Hansi Lochner, who now creeps in front of Oskars Kiebermanis, with Nico Walter, Maxim Angelov and Dominik Dvorak in the top 6. Markus Treichel 8th, Ivo de Bruin 10th, with 2 Russian rookies there as well. And Rudy Rinaldi jumps up to 11th place with a fine 4th place finish here. Anne van Nieuwenhuis, though, after yesterday's 2-man domination, we expected Friedrich to have plenty to show everybody, and he came out with all guns blazing, didn't he?
Not the perfect run, but it's just great start, and he lets it fly, and he lets it run.
Yeah, like the second heat of the 2-man, all the mistakes that everybody has made, and yet it cost him no speed.
Great looking bottom of the track, though. The 4 right curves, he was just perfect. Comes out with pressure, goes early into the next one. Just a little clip there, but he's controlling it where he needs to control it and letting it fly where he can let it fly.
Half a second clear, Francesco Friedrich. His 12th career 4-man win. Hansi Lochner, the silver medalist. And Oskars Melbardis in the Kiebermanis. I've got to stop saying that. Kiebermanis in the bronze medal position. So Mom Cordon Rouge for all of our teams who finish on the podium this weekend. And the most historic, the only natural track on the planet, the birthplace of the sport, the champagne of thrills. Now that will not make it home intact to Altenburg. That much I guarantee. Well, thanks again to Anne van Nieuwenhuis for all her words of wisdom here and throughout the season. Thanks to you for joining us from Europe, from the IBSF TV crew here. It's a fond farewell. We'll see you again 2 weeks from now when we go racing in the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York at Lake Placid as we begin our 4 weeks in North America. Till then, from me, Martin Haven, and everybody here, goodbye for now. We'll see you in Lake Placid.